Good morning, everybody. This is Dr. B, and today we are doing the metal carbonate lab. The idea is that we are going to give you an unknown metal carbonate. Happens to be this one. I'm trying not to show the label. And you'll react it with calcium chloride. Now, both of those are water soluble. However, one of the products, calcium carbonate, chalk, is insoluble. And each of the metal carbonates, lithium, sodium, potassium, etc., will produce a different amount of calcium carbonate. Calculate how much you received, how much you made, and you should be able to figure out which unknown metal carbonate you had. I'll be pausing the video periodically. I'll be performing it, and the game we'll be playing is that I'll just show you what I'm doing. It's up to you to find out if there's any errors, and you write down any data, and you turn that into your lab report. So let's go ahead and begin. First, let's make a calcium chloride solution. So I'm using this material here. I've already taken the liberty of putting it on a piece of paper, which I'm going to show you there. You'll see that that's a white powder. I'm now going to weigh it out, and to do that, I've got this balance here, which is 3 decimals. It's a little bouncy. I'm going to tear a piece of paper that's on it, and then I'm going to transfer all of this onto the paper, and let's see how much we actually transfer. Hard to do with one hand. Yikes. There we go. And there is the amount that has been, there it is, there is the amount that has been transferred. Next, I'm going to put it in a 1-liter flask. So, can you see that there? I'm noticing that a tiny bit remains on the paper. Maybe I even could go like this and see what we have on the paper. And that's how much remained on the paper, if that matters. And now I'm going to bring it up to 1 liter using tap water. This is the amount of water that I have used. And let me swing this around. 1 liter. Erlenmeyer flasks are pretty good for swirling, although this is pretty full. So I'm going to attempt to swirl it around. The 2-liter flask would have been far easier. But it is slowly dissolving. And I'll pause for a second until it's fully dissolved. After a few minutes, it's still pretty cloudy, so I'm just going to transfer it back and forth like this, just to help get it going. Plus, isn't this what chemists do? Don't they do this back and forth thing? Now I can swirl. Yeah, without spilling any. Erlenmeyer flasks are all about swirling. Still just looks a little bit cloudy. You'll see it's still just a little bit cloudy, but it's almost fully dissolved. And let's give it another couple minutes. While that calcium chloride solution is dissolving, I should mention that you'll note I used a 1-liter flask. I did not use one of these, although I could have. This is a volumetric flask. Note the hand-scribed 1 liter mark. That's the only graduation on these things. I did not use a graduated cylinder, and so consider the relevance of things like that. Okay, it's now time to weigh out my unknown metal carbonate. I want to show it to you. So right now it's on a piece of paper, and boy, it looks a lot like the calcium chloride. It's just a white powder. Does not look crystalline to me. I would describe it as amorphous and a fine white powder. I'm going to weigh it out now. So to do that, I'm going to grab a fresh piece of paper. I'm going to fold it in half. I'm going to put it on this scale, and I'm going to tare it. And I hope you can see that. So let's zero that. And there we go. I'll hit it again. Yeah, it's a little better. And now I'm going to pour all of the unknown metal carbonate onto it and show you how much I transferred. And here's what we got. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is make a solution out of the metal carbonate. So I'm going to take this much water. Can you see that? I'll move it around a little bit to help you determine that volume. Pause it if you need to. Fine. And let's make a solution out of it. So I've got a 250 ml Erlenmeyer here. I'll transfer my metal carbonate into it. Add the water. And make the solution. So far, it's nowhere near soluble, so we'll give that a little bit of time. And I'm pausing. And what I'm finding is that it is in no way dissolved in the 25 mils of water. I'm now up to this much water, and you'll see that there's still a little bit of solid material that remains. I now have about 550 mils of solution here, and there is still a little bit of the unknown metal carbonate which still has not dissolved. We should be okay because it will dissolve as it's displaced, right? The concentration of it will decrease down to about 0, so as it reacts, it should dissolve in. I'm now going to take my calcium chloride solution, and I think I'll use about 150 mils of this solution, which is just slightly turbid, translucent. So there's my 150 mils of it, right there. And I'm going to pour it all in, and this should be the fun part. This should be where we can form some calcium carbonate, and we should see the precipitate form. So 3, 2, 1, go. Oh yeah, I can see a white solid forming. It's getting opaque. I transferred it all in there. Now I want to swirl it around plenty. Love these Erlenmeyer flasks. And that is to make sure that that little bit of powder that I was worried about that did not dissolve has the opportunity to get into solution as this stuff transfers. So I think I'm going to swirl for a few minutes, and then it'll be time to collect the solid. And to do that, we'll simply use gravity filtration, and we'll oven dry the entire paper. So we better make sure we know how much the paper weighs before we do so. And then in the morning, we should be able to get the mass of the dry calcium carbonate that has formed. So after a few minutes, I'm noticing a nice, healthy amount of precipitate here. I hope you can see it on the bottom. And it's time to collect it. I'm going to use an ordinary paper towel, and I got to remember to weigh it first. If you're doing this in a group, you should probably also write your name on it before you do that. So I'm going to take this balance, I'm going to zero it, and it's giving me a little bit of an issue. I'm going to turn it off and on again. Okay, I'm zeroing my balance. I'm putting on my filter paper, and that's what the filter paper weighs. Bouncing around a little bit, probably due to the wind from my voice. There, that looks pretty steady. And now it's time to filter, so you should be able to see that, and I'm just going to run it through. Being careful not to let it overflow. And by doing that, I'm going to collect my precipitate. This takes a while, and you have to be very careful not to go above the height of your filter, but we should be able to eventually filter the whole thing and collect the precipitate. So I'll save you the time and I'll filter the whole thing. Alright, hi. We're now just about done with the filtration. I just want to let you take a peek inside there. It's collecting nicely in the filter paper, and once it's all finished dripping, I'm going to put the whole thing in the oven, and all the water should get bone dry. So I'm about to do that. Okay, that's what it looks like when the filtration is done, and it's now time to transfer it to the... Whoa. Okay, I'm now by the oven, which is right here. I hope you can see this. I'm opening it up, and that's what it looks like in the oven. I'm going to let it heat at about 110, hotter than boiling water, overnight. I'll see you in the morning. Okay, it's now morning, and it's time to take it out of the oven. And there it is. We've got a nice white powder there. Let's go weigh it. And there it is on the balance. Can you see the mass? Don't forget that includes both the filter paper and the powder. And you can see the nice white powder on the inside there. Okay, that mass should be specific to your unknown metal carbonate. It's time to write your lab report. Thanks a lot.